Mr. Sergeant at Arms.
All persons not entitled to privileges of the floor under the rules of the Senate will now vacate the chamber.
Please rise for the invocation by Father John LaJana, Good Shepherd Catholic Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
God is love. In the desire to make us share in this love, he sent his Son into the world to come to our aid and in gentle kindness to help those who are weak, sick, or unfortunate. In his great love for all of us, Christ said that whatever we do for the least amount among us, we do for him. He called for those who show mercy, blessed of his Father, and promised them eternal life. Let us then pray for the Lord's richest blessings on the members of the Senate of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, who are devoted to helping their brothers and sisters. Let us pray. Blessed are you, Lord God of mercy, who through your Son gave us a marvelous example of charity and the great commandment of love for one another. Send down your blessings on these, your servants, who so generously devote themselves to helping others. When they are called on in time of need, let them faithfully serve you in their neighbor. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got it right. All right. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Berg, Senator Boswell, Senator Carpenter, Senator Carroll, Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Clemens, Senator Deneen, Senator Douglas, Senator Elkins, Senator Funke Fromar, Senator Girdler, Senator Givens, Senator Herron, Senator Higdon, Senator Howe, Senator Maiden, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Meredith, Senator Mills, Senator Neal, Senator Nemus, Senator Nunn, Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Rawlings, Senator Reed, Senator Richardson, Senator Smith, Senator Stivers, Senator Storm, Senator Thomas, Senator Titchener, Senator Webb, Senator West, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Wilson, Senator Wise.
Any member seeking recognition for the purpose of answering the roll? Seeing none, there being 37 members present, a quorum is declared. Senate's authorized and prepared to do business. First order of business will be excuse of the absent senator. Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I move that the absent senator be excused, please.
Without objection, the absent senator is excused. Next order of business will be approval of the journal. Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I move that the journal from Wednesday, February 18th, 2026 be approved as written.
Without objection, the journal from Wednesday, February 18th, 2026 is approved as written. Senator from Taylor, we had a lot of visitors today.
Mr. President, we sure did. We want to thank all those that made their way to the annex. It was crowded hallways. We could see that the meeting schedules have really ramped up every day since we've been in session. And as we now are on day 30 and approaching the rest of the way, we expect those to be just the same. But we thank all those that have made their way to Frankfort. Thank you to those that are watching us online or in the television audience, and as well as those in the annex. The Senator from Hardin will do a formal resolution for those attending for Military Kids Day. We know that many of them are watching right now in the annex. We thank you all for being here. Thank your parents for their service, and we thank you as a military child. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator from Taylor. Before we go on to our regular order of business, the chair would recognize the senator from Grayson. We have a visitor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On this, our 30th day of the legislative session, Clerk of the House is here to communicate with our Senate.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, the House has passed House Bill 1058, 213, 392, 424, 456, 529, 577, and House Joint Resolution 50, and respectfully request concurrence of this honorable body.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We will continue with our order of business, and that is second reading of bills on the calendar. Mr. Clerk, you have a report. Please report.
For Thursday, February 19th, 2026, second reading of bills on the calendar, Senate Bill 70, an act relating to the Public Pension Oversight Board, Senator Higdon. Senate Bill 74, an act relating to investment in youth vaping prevention, Senator Richardson. Senate Bill 80, an act proposing an amendment to Section 145 of the Constitution of Kentucky relating to restoration of rights, Senator Higdon. Senate Bill 127, an act relating to actuarial costs of annual leave payments in the teachers' retirement system, Senator Higdon. Senate Bill 154, an act relating to elections, Senator Tishner.
Does that conclude your report?
It does.
All those bills and resolutions having just received their second reading are now in the possession of the Rules Committee for further action. You have an additional report, which is the report of our committees. Would you please continue?
The Economic Development, Tourism, and Labor Committee has met and reports Senate Bill 129 should pass. Also, the Education Committee has met and reports Senate Bill 101 should pass with Senate Committee Sub 1. Also, Education reports Senate Bill 124 should pass. The Judiciary Committee has met and reports Senate Bill 50 should pass, and Senate Bill 162 should pass with Senate Committee Sub 1, and also Judiciary reports Senate Bill 170 should pass with Senate Committee Sub 1. The Veterans, Military Affairs, and Public Protection Committee has met and reports Senate Resolution 103 should pass.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Those bills and resolutions having received a favorable committee report shall be deemed as having their first reading and are to be placed upon the calendar. Next order of business would be introduction of new bills and resolutions. Mr. Clerk, please report the one.
New Senate Bill 211, an act relating to coverage for prescription drugs, Senator Richardson. Also, Senate Bill 212, an act relating to mental health coverage and declaring an emergency, Senator Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Now, we will go to the orders of the day. Senator from Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that Senate Joint Resolution 74 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title only, and placed upon its passage.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
Senate Joint Resolution 74, a joint resolution directing the Legislative Research Commission and state agencies to collaborate to create a statewide fiscal map of substance use disorder programs and funding sources. Senator Storm.
Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I yield to the Senator from Laurel for explanation of the bill.
Senator from Laurel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Senate Joint Resolution 74 is a joint resolution directing the Legislative Research Commission and state agencies to collaborate to create a statewide fiscal map of substance use disorder programs and funding sources. Kentucky invests hundreds of millions of dollars annually across multiple cabinets, including health, justice, education, and labor. Funding comes from various federal, state, and local sources with no centralized mechanism to coordinate or evaluate how these streams work together. Agencies often track their own data in silos, making it difficult to see the full landscape or identity of service gaps and duplications. Senate Joint Resolution 74 provides a unified picture of where resources flow to improve policy decisions and budgeting. It establishes a baseline for measuring outcomes and ensuring effective use of taxpayer dollars to ensure resources are directed where they are needed most. For the first time, we'll have an inventory of all substance use disorder programs in one place. A public-facing report, Mr. President, will ensure that taxpayers and families affected by the opioid crisis can see exactly how the state is responding. Mr. President, Senate Joint Resolution 74 directs the Legislative Research Commission and these state agencies to collaborate to create this state fiscal map of substance use disorder programs and funding sources. And importantly, it requires the Legislative Research Commission to post the state fiscal map on the website and submit a report to the General Assembly by October 30th of 2026. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I move passage of Senate Joint Resolution 74.
74. Seeing no one seeking recognition, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Berg, Senator Boswell, Senator Carpenter, Senator Carroll, Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Clemens, Senator Deneen, Senator Douglas, Senator Elkins, Senator Funke Fromire, Senator Girdler, Senator Givens, Senator Herron, Senator Higdon, Senator Howe, Senator Maiden, Senator Mays Bledsoe, Senator McDaniel, Senator Meredith, Senator Mills, Senator Neal, Senator Nemus, Senator Nunn, Senator Rocky Adams, Senator Rawlings, Senator Reed, Senator Richardson, Senator Smith, Senator Stivers, Senator Storm, Senator Thomas, Senator Titchener, Senator Webb, Senator West, Senator Wheeler, Senator Williams, Senator Wilson, Senator Wise.
Any member seeking recognition to change or explain their vote? Seeing none, there being 38 yeas, no nays, Senate Joint Resolution 74 is adopted. Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 104 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title only, and placed upon its passage.
Mr. Clerk, if you would please report Senate Bill 104.
Senate Bill 104, an act relating to impeding a first responder. Senator Nunn.
Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I yield to the Senator from Scott for explanation of the bill.
Senator from Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 104 is often referred to as the HALO Act because it creates a 25-foot safety barrier around first responders while they are trying to perform their official duties, serving and protecting the people of this Commonwealth. It enables us to do that in a way that's safe for all. One of the people who voiced their support of this bill is an EMT from Louisville. He drove up to Frankfort to shake my hand and thank me for filing this bill and explain the circumstances and conditions that he and his colleagues face almost on a daily basis responding to calls when they're trying to provide often life-saving care to people in need. And so it's for instances and people like that that I filed this bill and why I encourage all of my colleagues to support it. So at that, Mr. President, I move for passage of Senate Bill 104.
Passage of Senate Bill 104. Senator from Jefferson 37.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to speak against the bill, if I may.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I do want to make sure I go on record stating that this, my no vote today is not against first responders. It is not against the EMTs. My no vote today is we already got laws in place for this particular situation right now. So what I'm confused is why do we want to keep adding bills and laws to laws that we already have to help prevent the safety of our first responders. So, you know, and we see what's going on in the news today. I have been part of protests there in Louisville back during the Breonna Taylor's sad situation that happened in our city. I'm against all that violence, obviously, but there was times that I was standing there with my phone, with my fellow protesters, peaceful protesters, and filming. And while we're filming, the police officer started then coming into approaching my area, which then would now put me in violation of this new bill of the 25-foot halo bill, which that's where I will be a no vote for today. But in no part am I against the police, the EMTs. I want them to do their jobs. I don't want anybody getting in their way, disrupting them, because they do need to come in and do their job. But for me, where I'm confused is we already have a bill and law in place. So why do we keep adding bills and laws? And if they're not enforcing that law now, then it's just a suggestion if we're not enforcing it. Thank you.
Senator from Jefferson 19.
May I speak against the motion for passage, please?
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleague from Jefferson mentioned some of the laws that are already in place, and I wanted to add a bit of a fine point on that. We already have a law for resisting arrest that applies if a police officer is trying to arrest a person. We have a law called obstructing governmental operations that deals with any non-arrest situation where a person might try to impede the actions of any governmental official, but police officers as well. We also have disorderly conduct, tools like menacing, a whole host of other laws in place that can be utilized if someone is getting in the way of a first responder doing their lawful duty, which is something that we all support in this chamber. But I think the reason you see us adding a law today, or proposing to add a law today, that merely duplicates, in a problematic way, laws already on the books is because this is not a Kentucky-grown law designed to address Kentucky-grown problems. This legislation is extremely similar, even identical to legislation that has been filed in at least 5 other states and is currently enjoined in at least 3 of those states. And the states that have enjoined or struck down similar laws have done so on First Amendment grounds. And I think, Mr. President, when we consider what the First Amendment requires of us as legislators to comply with our constitutional mandates, you'll clearly understand why. So the current test that courts give us for the First Amendment is that we as the legislature must define the criminal offense, 1, with sufficient definiteness that ordinary people can understand what conduct is prohibited and what is not, and 2, in a manner that does not encourage arbitrary and discriminatory enforcement. And that second prong, Mr. President, is where courts have found issue with this legislation. There are many ways in which this legislation is vague. It doesn't define what a person is supposed to do if an officer approaches you. It doesn't have clear guidelines around when an officer is to issue a stay-back order or warning. In fact, Mr. President, we cross-reference a definition from our statute that relates to murder of first responders, and that definition is so broad it includes even things like volunteer rescue personnel in it. Folks that actually don't have the power of arrest and don't have many of the other powers that come from being a sworn peace officer. And then this bill is contingent upon the idea that a person knows or should know that they have a legal obligation to comply with that stay-back order given by perhaps a volunteer at a rescue nonprofit. I think we can see why that is vague and why that is confusing to folks who are just trying to comply with the law. I'll also note the courts have taken a lot of issues with the way that this can be enforced arbitrarily, which again is something that makes it outside the bounds of the First Amendment. So what this law says is that you only have to stay back from the officer if that officer issues a stay-back order. And again, there are no guidelines on when an officer may do that, should do that. There's nothing to help someone understand when an officer might do that. And we've seen in other states that have enacted this situations where incidents have caused groups of people, sometimes related to immigrations and customs enforcement activities, sometimes related to people seeing arrests that they believe might be situations involving excessive force. Large groups of people have come to the scene to film, to document, sometimes to assist either the officer or the person that is involved. And yet, only some people in those situations are being charged under this act, and courts have found that that is arbitrary, and that the way that the law is put into effect has the ability to be utilized in a discriminatory way that violates the First Amendment. And that concerns me greatly, Mr. President, because I believe that our first responders, it's important that they have tools to be able to do their job, and we as a General Assembly have done a good job in giving them those tools. We do not need to add vague, arbitrary, potentially discriminatory tools to the toolkit to address a problem that is not occurring. We do not need to put our citizens' First Amendment rights and liberties at risk to achieve a purpose that we already have laws that allows us to achieve. And so for that reason, Mr. President, I'm a no on this bill, and I would urge all members, for the sake of our very important First Amendment protections under the United States and Kentucky Constitutions, to do the same. Thank you.
Senator from Jessamine,
Speak in favor of the bill, Mr. President.
please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, Mr. President, as a healthcare provider who has been in the position and helped on many occasions the first responders in the field, and by the way, Mr. President, most physicians never have that privilege. We operate we do things in our offices and we do things at the hospitals, but being out on the street or in the park or at the airport, well, that's a totally different animal. You know, when you're trying to save lives, whether it's your son or your daughter, your mother or father, do you want that first responder being bothered? Or is it that you just don't mind them being bothered when it's someone else's family? I think we should have the same care and the same love for others as we do for our own families. Mr. President, the law is only as good as the envelope in which it is allowed to be enforced. And in Kentucky and in any other state, just simply being able to concentrate is paramount. We're dealing with people. The one question I would ask here is how many other professionals, whether you're in the courtroom or you're a banker or you're a welder or any other job like that, would you want someone to be staring over your shoulder? You want to turn around and get something and they're in the way. Are we saying it's okay for them to do this as well? You know, Mr. President, this is a common sense bill. And there's so many things that so many hypothetical situations and comments that people come up with. It is a common sense bill. And we have Zooms on our cameras. I'm not quite sure why we're having this discussion, Mr. President. Thank you.
Seeing no one else seeking recognition, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Berg.
Senator from Jefferson 26, please cast your vote, then explain, limited to 3 minutes.
I vote no. And I just, you know, I want to talk about the elephant in the room, guys. The elephant in the room is that anybody who is watching TV has seen instances on national TV, multiple instances in multiple states, where we have officers of the state acting inappropriately. And to pass a bill that disallows citizens the right to stand there and say, not on my watch. No, thank you. It is our duty, it is our responsibility as citizens to say this behavior is unconstitutional and we will not tolerate it. Thank you.
Senator Boswell. Senator Carpenter. Senator Carroll. Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Clemens. Senator Deneen. Senator Douglas. Senator Elkins. Senator Funke Fromeyer. Senator Girdler. Senator Givens. Senator Herron. Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Maiden. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Meredith. Senator Mills. Senator Neal. Senator Nemus. Senator Nunn. Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Rawlings. Senator Reed. Senator Richardson. Senator Smith. Senator Stivers.
Aye.
Senator Storm. Senator Thomas. Senator Titchener. Senator Webb. Senator West. Senator Wheeler.
Senator from Pike, please cast your vote, then explain, limited to 3 minutes.
Mr. President, explain my aye vote.
Please proceed.
You know, we've heard a lot of rhetoric on this floor today about some of the things going on and, you know, people's right to protest. I agree. This is America. You have a right to protest. But you do not have a right to intervene in a law enforcement action or a first responder performing his duty. It is as simple as that. You know, we've seen some tragic things happen in other states, and they are tragedies. Anytime there's a loss of life, it's a tragedy. But there's a real simple rule that you can follow and avoid all of this. If you comply, you don't die. I mean, if you don't insert yourself into a law enforcement officer that is performing his duty, that is already a highly tense situation, you're going to be just fine. You can stand 25 feet away, blow your air horn, act like however what kind of idiot you want to act like. There's nothing in this bill that says you can't do that. Nothing. Nothing. You know? And, you know, your cash from, you know, all these organizations funded by George Soros and other people, it'll still cash. You can still be your paid protester. This bill, yeah, these no votes, that's absolutely against law enforcement. It's absolutely against first responders. Make no doubt about it. That's exactly what a no vote on this bill is. And I want to thank the senator from Scott for standing up for our law enforcement and first responders here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. They at least know that there's 32 elephants in the room and that they're going to stand with them no matter what some people in this country want to do to make their lives, even put their lives more in danger and make their lives harder. Thank you.
Senator Williams.
Senator from Boone, under the guidelines, please cast your vote, then explain.
I'd like to explain my aye vote. The question I got most on this bill was the 25 feet. I appreciate the comments here, but the most effective thing you can do from whatever is happening is video that. And the point, yelling and screaming, doing whatever, you have a right to do that. But if you want to be effective at documenting what's happening, you video it. And I'd like to point out to the senators here that every camera in this room is more than 25 feet away from us. Okay. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sure that the cameras on most of the phones these days are as good as better as every camera in this room that is more than 25 feet from us. So I think nothing in this bill impedes the bystanders from documenting what happens, and it will ensure that the first responders are able to do their proper job to those that are injured or disabled. I gladly vote aye.
Senator Wilson. Senator Wise.
There being several people who wish to continue their explanation of the bill, or their vote, and understand it is an explanation of the vote, not a retort of what has been said. Chair would recognize the senator from Jefferson 26.
Thank you, Mr. President. There have been several cases that have been well documented in the last several weeks where police officers have actually kept first responders from responding to patients in need. Doctors on the street that say, this person is shot, let me help them. And the police officers have declined, have not allowed them. And the statement, if you comply, you do not die, sickens me to the core. To the core. Because if you go back in history, they marched people into gas chambers. They were complying, and they died. And to say that will never happen again, that could not happen here, that will not happen here, I don't know how delusional you can be. Because, guys, it is starting to happen here. I am so proud of my no vote. And I really think that the people in this room do not understand what's happening in this country at this point. Thank you.
Senator from Carter,
To explain my yes vote.
please proceed.
Just briefly, as a practitioner in a small town, I gave this bill some pause because there have been instances when I've come upon, whether it's an accident or a criminal investigation or something, for clients of mine. And I've always been respectful of that buffer zone, but yet I wanted to be somewhat present because it involved a client. But what gives me comfort in this bill is the language in parent 2, where on it states, who is engaged in the lawful performance of his and her duties. So that, to me, says that first responders got to be engaged in lawful performance of their duty before a violation could exist. If there is an unlawful performance of duty, I would argue that, they're not provided this protection. So that language gives me comfort, and that's why I support the bill.
Senator from Jefferson 35.
Thank you.
Explanation of your vote.
Yes, sat here and was not planning on speaking, but I do think it is very important to get up and speak about the reason why this is a no vote today. And we've heard from some of my colleagues that we already have laws on the books that would address these issues if someone is impeding in the work of law enforcement or of our emergency management folks. And I want to be very clear that this no vote is not a no against those individuals or those entities. And I also want to be very clear on this day, February 19th, the 19th day of Black History Month, the disrespect to Black Kentuckians, the disrespect to Black Americans. We just talked about the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson and the things that people have done to say that if you comply, you don't die, or whatever the words were saying, is a huge disrespect. And as a Black woman that is in this body, I will not tolerate such disrespect, especially during this Black History Month. Thank you.
Seeing no other members seeking recognition, there being 32 yeas, 6 nays, Senate Bill 104 is passed. Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I move that Senate Bill 152 be taken from its place in the orders of the day, read for the third time by title only, and placed upon its passage.
Mr. Clerk, please report Senate Bill 152.
Senate Bill 152, an act relating to education. Senator Reed.
Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, I yield to the senator from Shelby for explanation of the bill.
Senator from Taylor. Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, could you have the clerk report Senate Committee Sub 1?
Mr. Clerk, would you please report Senate Committee Substitute Number 1?
Senate Committee Sub 1 to Senate Bill 152.
Senator from Shelby.
Move for adoption, Mr. President.
Matter for the body is adoption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Senate Committee Substitute Number 1 is adopted. Senator from Shelby.
Speak on the bill, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Mr. President, I rise to present Senate Bill 152. This bill modernizes Kentucky's school governance structure by transitioning school-based decision-making councils into school-based advisory councils. When SBDMs were created decades ago, the goal was to increase local involvement and improve student achievement. The intent was good, but after years of experience across our districts, one truth has become clear. Structure alone does not drive results. Leadership does. Strong schools are built on strong leadership. And strong leadership requires clear authority and clear accountability. Right now, in many cases, authority is shared in ways that blur responsibility. When decision-making is fragmented, it becomes difficult to know who is ultimately responsible for outcomes. And when responsibility is unclear, accountability weakens. Senate Bill 152 corrects that. This legislation preserves advisory input from teachers and parents. Their voices remain important and valued. But when final decision-making authority will rest with the principal and the superintendent, the leaders hired, trained, and held accountable for student performance. If we expect results, we must empower leaders to lead. If we expect improvement, we must clearly define who is responsible for achieving it. This bill restores a proper chain of command. It ensures that when a school succeeds, leadership can be credited. And when a school struggles, leadership has both the authority and the obligation to fix it. Leadership without authority is ineffective. Authority without accountability is dangerous, and Senate Bill 152 aligns the two. Our students deserve schools where responsibility is not diluted and where leadership is empowered to act decisively in their best interests. This is about clarity. This is about responsibility, and ultimately, this is about student outcomes. Members, I respectfully ask for your support for Senate Bill 152, and Mr. President, I move for passage of Senate Bill 152.
The matter for the body
as amended.
Matter for the body is Senate Bill 152 as amended. Senator from Fayette 13 seeks recognition on question or comment on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President, to speak about my opposition to Senate Bill 152.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. President, I think it's really important to begin with history, okay, and how site-based councils came into being. It was 1989, and the Rhodes decision had just made clear that our schools, as we operated here in Kentucky back in 1989, were unconstitutional. Okay. And so following that ruling, Governor Wilkerson appointed a 38-member committee to decide how are we going to best implement a new school structure. And that structure was ultimately called CARA. Okay. And one of the central components of CARA that the committee intended and the General Assembly agreed to was we wanted more parental involvement in schools. Now, at that time that CARA was implemented, Kentucky ranked 49th in the state. Everybody needs to know that. We ranked 49th in the state in terms of educational achievement. We should say kind of jokingly, but truly seriously, thank God for Mississippi. Because we were just that bad, Mr. President. Okay. So for nearly 40 years, we've had CARA because we understood how important parents' involvement was in our school system. Now let's jump just 5 years ago now, when we came into the session in 2021, intent on addressing a very serious situation that had happened in Adair County regarding our juvenile justice system. And a task force was formed then to address that. And throughout that whole 2021 session, we talked about the problem with juvenile justice. And we weren't shy about talking then, Mr. President, about the fact that we've got to do something to encourage more parental involvement with our juveniles. Because when the senator from Jefferson 26 talked about the elephant in the room, that was the elephant in the room. We've got all these problems with our juveniles because we don't have parental involvement, sufficient parental involvement with our juveniles. Now, let me just jump now to today. From 1989 to 2021 to today. And just today in a committee meeting, we had an education. We talked about school truancy and juvenile violence. And again, the elephant in the room was, what are parents doing with their children? Where are the parents that provided the kind of discipline and respect that in our generation we had for teachers? So we now are here to pass a bill today that says that we believe that parents in schools should be seen but not heard, that teachers in schools should be seen but not heard. And that is taking us backward. This is not a bill that's going to advance schools. Let's be clear. This is a bill that's going to even weaken our current school structure. Now, let me tell you what this bill does. Currently, under the laws currently written, site-based councils have the ability to appoint committees, which brings more parents in the schools to deal with issues like library resources, like athletics, like curriculum. We're now taking that away and giving that committee structure to the principals. But the principal can decide jurisdiction, who's going to sit on the committees, what the parties are going to be on those committees. Parents excluded. If the school receives funds, under the current law, the site-based council decides what money is going to go into those job classifications. Under this new law, only the principal does it. Parents again, teachers again, excluded from the process. With regard to job vacancies in those schools, under our current law, the site-based councils in which parents and teachers sit decide who fills those vacancies. Under this new law, parents and teachers are excluded. Under the current law, when it comes to library resources, media resources, what films are children going to see? Now, what kind of media resources are they going to have? The site-based council decides that. Under this new law, parents and teachers are silent. I would say to all of us today, let's not be hypocrites. Let's not say that we want parents involved in schools, that we want parents to be responsible for their children, and yet when it comes to the most important thing parents do with their children, that is monitor them in schools and make sure they're learning and behaving, we want to say, parents, you're out of here. I oppose this bill. I oppose this bill strongly because I am a firm believer that the best way for children to succeed in schools is to have their parents by their side. I've seen that work time and time again. This is a bad bill that we're passing. This is bad law, and I oppose it, and I encourage everyone to oppose this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Bourbon.
Speak on the bill, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Mr. President, would you ask if the sponsor would yield to a question?
I will. Senator from Shelby, will you yield to a question?
I will, Mr. President.
Senator from Bourbon, he will yield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask the sponsor, Senator from Shelby, and I'm going to have a series of questions, 2 or 3 questions. They'll be very short.
We will take one at a time.
They'll be very short. Is there anything in your bill that prevents parents from being involved in the schools and sitting on a site-based advisory council?
Senator from Shelby.
Mr. President, there is nothing in the bill that will prevent teachers or parents from being involved and being on the advisory council and having input.
Senator from Bourbon.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from Shelby answered my second question with his first answer. My third question is there anything at all in your bill that would prevent the site-based advisory council from meeting, gathering together teachers and parents, preparing recommendations, and giving those to the principal for them to be carried out?
Senator from Shelby, will you yield to another question?
Yes, Mr. President.
Will yield, and you know the question.
I will yield, and the answer is there is nothing in this bill that will prevent any involvement whatsoever, if that answers the question for the Senator from Bourbon.
Senator from Bourbon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, I got ahead of myself there.
It's all right.
I'd like to speak on the bill.
Please proceed.
This bill is really simple. It's about the leadership dynamic in our local schools. We've passed Senate Bill 4 on this floor, which allows us to do a lot more principal leadership training. Very excited about that bill. And so you have a situation now where we're going to be sending principals away for intense leadership training. We as a state are going to pay for that. And we're going to expect that principal to come back to that school and implement these new dynamic things they've learned about. That principal is hired by the superintendent and the school board in a leadership position to operate the school in an efficient manner. And that principal's job is on the line. Their performance is on the line. So the current framework of the SBDMs allows them rulemaking authority. And so this bill simply addresses the SBDM's rulemaking authority in the school and the SBDM's ability to overrule the will of the principal. Now, I understand the argument that the principal should have buy-in from the people in the school. They should have buy-in from the teachers and staff. They should have buy-in from parents, absolutely 100%. But this bill doesn't change that. Under this bill, the parents will still have their say. They can be part of the advisory council. The teachers will still have their say. They can also be part of the site-based advisory council. The only difference is they will no longer have control through rulemaking authority and have the ability to overrule the leadership of the principal. And so, Mr. President, I speak in favor of this bill. I think it lays out a clear chain of command, which the senator from Shelby is used to. Being in a combat zone, you have to have a clear chain of command and be able to make decisions quickly. And in a way, also another thing this will do is if there's something negative that happens in the school, the buck will stop at the principal. And the weight will be on their shoulders. So I like the bill. I like the effort. Thank the senator from Shelby for bringing it.
Seeking recognition who is yet to be previously recognized. Senator from Jefferson 26.
Speak about the bill, please.
Please proceed.
I had the opportunity 9, 10, maybe 11 years ago to actually attend a site-based decision-making group at a high school in Louisville They actually had 3 or 4 forums open to the community and open to the public. It was an amazing show of what it means when you get your teachers, your parents, and your students together to discuss what was at that time a very difficult social question for the school. And I was so impressed at the thought process and the thoroughness that went in to this event. And certainly the principal of the school, who I thought was an amazing man, participated equally. There was no disharmony between the principal and the site-based decision-making council. These were very difficult decisions. They required a lot of community input. They affected the community as a whole. And I will tell you, I promise you that principal was supported in the decision that was made, because it was made communally. And if that decision had been made by a single leader, and I understand in emergencies in particular, in combat, in room 9, when you're doing a code, you have one person who is in charge, and you have to have one person, because you don't have the time to take and make consensus. But in those situations like our schools, we do have that time. We should take that time. It is in your principal's best interest to have those processes and to have it discussed and to have a community decision with buy-in. That's how you build community, guys. That's the work it takes. And I think this bill negates a process that I have seen work amazingly well. Thank you.
Senator from Taylor.
Speak on the bill, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
I appreciate the questions from the senator from Bourbon. I actually was asking the senator from Shelby almost the same questions to the side here. I've read the bill, I was interpreting the bill, and one of the things I come back to in this is the word parent involvement. I think every one of us on this floor would recognize and say that we need more parent involvement in all of our school districts and all of our children's lives that are in the school systems today. My wife's been a member of Site-Based Decision-Making Council for a number of years. We moved back to my hometown. She didn't initially want to run for school board, decided to be on the Site-Based Decision-Making Council. And one of the reasons is it's hard to find many times parents to get involved and to do things. As you know, you've got all your worker bees and those that do about everything, but it's a lot of times very difficult in some rural communities or maybe in urban areas to get people to step up and do these types of councils. And with that, she's appreciated being on the Site-Based Decision-Making Council, and I actually gave her the piece of legislation to look it over. And I was like, what do you think? She said, by changing the name, changing somewhat of the structure, you're still not eliminating the parent. You're still doing everything the same that we'll be doing in calling it advisory council. It really is not changing much of what's already been in place to still get parents to be involved. I'm sure your teachers would even say today they would love to see more parent involvement when we have open houses for children who many times don't even have their parents there or anyone from their house there to talk to the teacher about issues that are going on in the school. But we can't legislate to force parent involvement, but this is a good piece of legislation. It's a good piece of legislation to make some changes that may have been there from the era of Governor Wallace Wilkinson to where we are today, of changing somewhat of that structure around. I hope we get to the day that we can see more parent involvement in our school systems. We talk about improving test scores. We talk about the rankings that we can shoot up. I guarantee you, if more parents were involved in the lives of their children, if more parents were at the dinner table every night with their children to talk about their school day, to talk about their lives, to talk about what they want to do when they grow up, that would make such a true difference in the lives of not just the education system, but the lives of Kentucky and also the United States. This is a good piece of legislation, and I also appreciate today we heard in the Education Committee, Senator from Scott bringing a piece of legislation that revolved around student discipline. Many teachers right now are fearful of the jobs that they're in because of assaults, because of altercations and things such as this. Maybe when we all were back in school many years ago, of how we dealt with our own children's behavior and their own accountability, we wouldn't have to pass legislation because of family situations and dynamics, unfortunately, that affects the entire society that we live in today, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So, as I'm hearing a lot about parents' involvement, and what we're doing is blaming, it seemed like a lot of blame is going on these parents, but let's make sure we're honest with ourselves. Parents want to be involved, but when we have passed bad workers legislation for years, these parents are out here working 2 or 3 jobs each. They're working 100 hours plus to make ends meet for those children, so don't sit here and act like the parents are not wanting to be involved, because they do.
Would the senator from Shelby yield to a question?
Senator from Shelby, will you yield to a question?
Yes, Mr. President.
Senator from Jefferson 33, he will yield.
Senator, are you aware of, or have you conducted survey or research that supports each school and to what extent the current system has not been effective and the system that you're proposing would be more effective, to the committee that you submitted this legislation to?
Senator from Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Answer the question, no official surveys have been made. However, lots of discussions throughout the caucus, through other members across the state here in our body, as well as House members have reached out to their constituents, and it's a very common complaint that the school-based decision-making councils should very much go to an advisory only.
Thank you. I want to speak to the
Senator
bill.
from Jefferson 33.
Sorry, Mr. President, speak to the bill.
Please proceed.
I was really thinking about the senator from Fayette 13's comments regarding site-based decision-making. Now, I was trying to think how many schools, because those councils are at the site, the building where the children are. How many schools, I couldn't remember off the top of my head how many schools we have. Then I got to thinking about the comments from the floor leader, and I began to think about how things are different, and there's unevenness, there's no perfection. It's something you strive to do, you work for. And then I thought about my own experience with those who have worked in SBDMs, and I've heard nothing but, yes, some of those challenges in some of those schools, and just home runs in a bunch of other schools. And actually, I've been encouraged by it, and that's the first I've heard of that, and I don't doubt that what you've said, Senator from Shelby, and I think your intent is not ill. There's no ill intent involved. But without us surveying properly and making such a change, really going on the basis of the experience of some common experience, but not necessarily in the building where children are being educated, not understanding or knowing how those processes work, knowing that they work differently in other schools and some need help, no question about that. But there are others that are doing quite well, and then we're just going to change that arbitrarily. I would suggest this is arbitrary. Now, I would support and would think that we would want to do this in a methodical way because we've been doing this for years. And we have some things that are challenging to us and outcomes that we bemoan, but at the same time, we have things that are happening very well in many schools across this district. I know personally. But we come into a chamber, we go through a process, we hear what someone says to us, and we have this feeling that we can do better, which I admire, quite frankly, but really don't have the foundation to make that kind of decision in here. I think, with all due respect, that this is an arbitrary way to change policy in systems that we do not have authority in, that we do not, at least in varying degrees, have experience in, and then we just go sweeping. Yes, let's do that. Sounds good because of our personal experience. So I say that with respect. But I think we ought to be a little more thoughtful. It's not just this bill. There are other things that we do here. In fact, that's why the process is so challenging. It's supposed to be challenging. If you can't deal with the challenges of it, this is not the place for you, that's for sure. But we do have to hold ourselves to certain standards of investigation, certain, even if there's rigor involved, even if time is involved, to really understand what we're doing when we institute policy, because policies can be far-ranging. In fact, we know policies are far-ranging. So, for that reason, I will be voting no on this because I think we ought to slow down here a bit. And hopefully, if it goes down to the House, they will send it back to us so we can maybe create a little more flexibility at least, so we don't undermine those things that are working well and get a better hold on what those things are. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yet to be previously recognized. Seeing no one, I'm going to go to the senator from Bourbon. Senator from Bourbon.
Thank you, Mr.
You
President.
have used 3 minutes of your time.
I will be very brief, and I didn't mean to speak a second time. Just in a slight response, number one, we clearly do have the authority to do this. The Kentucky State Legislature set up the SBDMs originally, so we definitely have the ability to adjust the SBDMs. Real quickly, once again, any principal worth their salt will try to get buy-in from the people in their building and parents. That's just natural. Any good leader is going to do that. This bill does not prohibit that. It just changes the form and doesn't mandate that the principal accept rulemaking authority of the SBDM. And also to point out, I'd like to also point out that once again, we've got some bipartisanship on the floor today, Mr. President. We've got some really good bipartisanship. Senator from Taylor talked about parental involvement. He would like to see more parental involvement in schools. We all would. That is one of the complaints I hear is we have a hard time finding parents to sit on the SBDMs sometimes. Minority Party has mentioned also that they would like to see more parental involvement in schools. And so I've got an idea for a future bill draft. This sounds like an excellent idea. Why don't we change the makeup of the SBDMs to include more parents? So generally the current makeup of an SBDM, hopefully soon to be the advisory council, is 3 teachers and 2 parents. That's a normal split. So if we're really concerned about parents' rights and parents' involvement, why don't we give parents more of a say and maybe make it 4 parents and 3 teachers, or 5 parents and 4 teachers. That would be a good start to give us more parental involvement. Thank you, Mr. President.
In recognition who is yet to be previously recognized, Chair would recognize the senator from Fayette 13. And Senator from Fayette 13, 5 minutes and 45 seconds of use time. You still have 9 minutes and 15 seconds.
I only need a couple of minutes, Mr. President. Mr. President, let's not mince words here. Okay? There's a huge difference between being a decision maker and an advisor. Okay? So let's acknowledge that. Let's at least acknowledge that much. If someone advises something, that means they can say whatever they want, and you don't have to accept a thing. But when someone's a decision maker, that means they make the decision and they make the rules. And there's a big difference. And what this bill does today is that it mutes parents and it mutes teachers. Okay? Secondly, and the Senator Jefferson 33 made a great point. There's been no evidence, no hearings, no reports to indicate that this hasn't worked effectively for nearly 40 years. This process has worked and worked effectively and has risen Kentucky above being next to last educational policy to at least being in the upper half among all states. So we're taking something that works and we're changing it. Most importantly, I would agree that there are very few things we can do to mandate parental engagement in their children. Very few things we can do. But this is one of them. This is one way that we can incentivize parents to say, get involved in your child's education, because your involvement will make a difference. But what we're doing today is saying, no. This bill regresses Kentucky's education from the last 40 years, and that's a tragedy. And so I'm going to vote no on this bill.
Seeking recognition, the matter before the body is passage of Senate Bill 152 as amended by Senate Committee Substitute Number 1. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Berg. Senator Boswell. Senator Carpenter. Senator Carroll. Senator Chambers Armstrong. Senator Clemens. Senator Deneen. Senator Douglas. Senator Elkins. Senator Funke Fromeyer. Senator Girdler. Senator Givens. Senator Herron. Senator Higdon. Senator Howe. Senator Maiden. Senator Mays Bledsoe. Senator McDaniel. Senator Meredith. Senator Mills. Senator Neal. Senator Nemus. Senator Nunn. Senator Rocky Adams. Senator Rawlings. Senator Reed. Senator Richardson. Senator Smith. Senator Stivers.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Senator from Laurel, please cast your vote, then explain. Limited to 3 minutes.
President, I vote no. I do appreciate the senator from Shelby's work on the measure. However, we all come from different backgrounds, different regions of this Commonwealth, and our own life experiences. I personally served on a school-based decision-making council, and I had a wonderful experience. I was elected by my fellow parents in the school. I was elected several times, and I participated in the hiring of staff members and teachers alike. We had a principal that was a wonderful principal who's now superintendent. So although we all come from different walks of life and different life experiences, I had a wonderful experience as my term on the School-Based Decision-Making Council, and I vote no.
Senator Thomas. Senator Titchener. Senator Webb. Senator West. Senator Wheeler. Senator Williams. Senator Wilson. Senator Wise.
Seeing no one seeking recognition to cast, change, or explain their vote, there being 27 yeas, 11 nays. Senate Bill 152 as amended is passed. Senator from Taylor.
Mr. President, that concludes the orders of the day.
Senator from Taylor, I believe the next order of business is a meeting of the Committee on Committees and Rules Committee. Do you have a motion?
Mr. President, I do. The Senate shall stand in recess for meeting of the Rules Committee and Committee on Committees at the clerk's desk, please.
This body shall be in recess until call of the chair. Body shall come to order. Order of business to be reported to committees. Mr. Clerk, please report.
The Rules Committee has met and posted the following bills to the regular orders for Friday, February 20th, 2026. Senate Bill 70, Senate Bill 80, Senate Bill 127, and Senate Bill 154. Also, the Rules Committee has recommitted the following bill to Appropriations and Revenue, Senate Bill 74. The Committee on Committees has met and referred the following resolutions to the Senate floor: Senate Resolutions 106, 107, 108, and 109.
Does that conclude your report? Okay. Next order of business would be motions, petitions, communications, resolutions, and announcements. Senator from Taylor, you have a motion.
I do, Mr. President. I move that Senate Resolution 103 be taken from the calendar and brought to the floor for action today.
Without objection, Madam Clerk, please make that notation. Senate Resolution 103 will now be on the calendar. In the order of business of motions, petitions, resolutions, communications, and announcements, Senator from Jefferson 36.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an announcement.
Please proceed.
All right, tonight, I want to announce to the body that tonight is Louisville night. Woo, Louisville night. It's 6 to 8, and it's going to be at the Foundry, and there are going to be cocktails and food. The Louisville Orchestra is going to play, and I have been told that there also is going to be a surprise animal from the Louisville Zoo. So we'll see what that surprise animal is.
No elephants.
So no elephants, I don't think. So everybody, please feel welcome to come out to Louisville Night, 6 to 8 at the Foundry. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from Jefferson 36, if you could, do you remember the last time we had a surprise animal from the Louisville Zoo appear here?
I actually remember that very well. Would you like for me to communicate with the body what happened?
Please tell the body what happened and what that animal was that visited us and what it did in the Senate chamber.
So that animal was a penguin, and that penguin went up to the Senate President's desk and pooped all over it. I know, right?
Now for the body to understand, that was a prior Senate President. That penguin did not do that on my desk. Senator from Jefferson 33.
Mr. President, I just hope that penguin's still walking the face of the earth. Would you ask the clerk to report Senate Resolution 106?
Mr. Clerk, if you would, please report Senate Resolution 106.
Yes.
In its entirety or by title?
By title only.
By title only, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Resolution 106, resolution adjourning the Senate in honor and loving memory of Bias Sidney Tilford, Sr.
Senator from Jefferson 33.
Move adoption.
Matter for the body is adoption. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Senator from Grayson.
Announcement, Mr. President.
Please continue.
I had previously mentioned two members of the Health Services Committee that would be having a second special meeting next week. So I'd appreciate if you put on your calendars. In addition to our usual 8 o'clock meeting next Wednesday, after adjournment next Wednesday, we'll be meeting again. And again, this will be for 1 hour for presentation on creating an AI Kentucky Health Command. So I appreciate your attendance. And again, we will be limited just to 1 hour. So 2 meetings on next Wednesday.
Members, please take note. Senator from Campbell.
Announcement, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
On this beautiful Thursday, wanted to remind everyone that on Friday morning, the Kentucky State Police Professional Association would like to invite you all to breakfast at the cafeteria from 7 to 9 a.m.
Members, please take note. Do you have further needs? Senator
Yes,
from
sir.
Campbell, please continue.
Yes, sir. And today, upon adjournment, the Capital Projects and Bonds Oversight will be meeting for the couple members. A reminder upon adjournment today. Thank you.
Members of that committee, please take note. Senator from Warren.
Act on a resolution, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Could you have a clerk report Senate Resolution 85 by title only?
Mr. Clerk, if you would, please report Senate Resolution 85 by title only.
Senate Resolution 85, a resolution commending Taiwan for its deepening relations with the United States and the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Senator Wilson.
Senator from Warren.
Move for adoption.
Matter for the body is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Senator from Fayette 13.
Mr. President, could you please ask the clerk to report Senate Resolution 101 and read it by title only?
Mr. Clerk, if you would, please report Senate Resolution 101 by title only.
Senate Resolution 101, a resolution recognizing February 21st, 2026 as Historic St. Paul AME Church National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom Day in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Senator Thomas.
Excuse me. Senator from Fayette 13.
Move for its adoption, Mr. President.
Matter for the body is adoption. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Senator from Bullitt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Co-sponsor request.
Please proceed.
With the permission of the primary sponsor, I move to be added to as a co-sponsor of Senate Bill 82.
Please file the appropriate paperwork and without objection, so ordered. Senator from McCracken.
Announcement, Mr. President.
Please continue.
I'd like to invite everyone in this body tomorrow to attend the Kentucky Nuclear Energy Development Authority Board meeting, which will be held in room 129 of the annex. And we will have representatives from Kairos Power, based out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and also X-Energy will be there, and they will be providing presentations on their technologies. And I would encourage everyone who can make it. It will be at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Should last an hour and a half at the most. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator from McCracken, where will that be done?
Room 129 of the annex.
All right, members, please take note. Senator from Clark.
Communication, Mr. President.
Please continue.
Mr. President, I was absent yesterday from the chamber under the weather, and I'd like to cast a aye vote on Senate Bill 47, aye vote on Senate Bill 159, aye vote on Senate Bill 85, and I have filed the proper paperwork.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you.
Senator from Oldham.
Co-sponsor request, Mr. President.
Please continue.
With permission of the primary sponsors, I move to be added to Senate Bill 131, 101, and Senate Bill 124.
Without objection, so ordered. Please file the appropriate paperwork. Senator from Marion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak on the resolution about the Taiwan delegation. I was a little slow on the trigger.
All right, please proceed.
Thank you,
Still
Mr.
in that
President.
order of business.
Thank you, Mr. President. The senator from Fayette 13 and myself had the opportunity last night to have dinner with the Taiwan delegation. It was a very interesting night, and I just wanted to mention that. I was a little late getting caucus today when they were introduced and didn't get to say anything, but Director General Lin, Director Tang, and Ambassador Lee, like I said, we had a very interesting conversation, and it's pretty amazing that the little island of Taiwan with 23 million people, about the size of population of Florida, is United States' fourth largest trading partner, and that's pretty amazing, Mr. President. And they also went on to tell us that a recent trade agreement that they have with the United States, that in the next few months are going to be making some announcements on some very large investments in the United States, and hopefully some of those investments will make it to Kentucky. So I just wanted to say that and publicly thank that Taiwan delegation for the invitation last night. Thank you.
Senators that want to speak about the resolution. Senator from Fayette 13.
Yes, Mr. President, briefly, I just want to echo everything that the senator from Marion said, Mr. President, and they also want to thank you because they know that there wouldn't be a Taiwan caucus but your support, and so they want to make sure to say thank you to you, President Stivers, for your support of this. It was a great evening, and we envision just a stronger relationship throughout this year and going into future years with the Taiwan caucus. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Senator from Fayette 13. And just a couple other things. When you think about 23 million people, I'm doing this from the chair, which is slightly out of order. 23 million people in a land size, it's about 2/3 the size of the state of Kentucky. So 2/3 of the land size, we have 4.5 million. They have 23 million living on that. And I think it's our 8th biggest trading partner for the state of Kentucky. So it's really quite an interesting partnership with them. And one of the things that they will talk about is when those jets go off on the sorties, what do they call that? They call that the sound of freedom. It's an amazing thing how they rely on the United States. So with that, Senator from Laurel.
Action on the resolution, Mr. President.
Please proceed.
Mr. President, as the members know, the Kentucky Optometric Association has been here today, and I would therefore request the clerk report Senate Resolution 94 by title only.
Mr. Clerk, please report.
Senate Resolution 94, resolution adjourning the Senate in honor of the 2025-2026 Kentucky Optometric Association President, Dr. Hannah Huffman. Senator Storm.
Move adoption.
Matter for the body is adoption. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Senator from Hardin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to address the body and act on a resolution.
Please proceed.
Today was Military Kids Day here in the Senate and across the Capitol. And I just want to say we had a wonderful experience with 150 participants. Their parents from all branches of our armed services, and their children, some grandchildren, their resilience, their dedication, and sometimes the challenges that come with being a military kid was on display. But I was never prouder. As a former military kid myself and representing Fort Knox, and to have so many students come from Fort Knox and my district was wonderful to see. But we had them from Fort Campbell, we had them from across the Commonwealth. And as I said, from all branches of the government, many of them have traveled around the world in such a short time. Many of them were fourth graders. And I want to put that in perspective for you. 9-year-olds that have attended 2 or more elementary schools. It's amazing their resilience and how well they adapt to new situations. And many of them will be future leaders because of that. And at this time, I want to also thank our staff here. They've done a wonderful job year after year in pulling this all together. And I'd like to also call out the many interns that did an extraordinary job today in helping corral so many kids, making sure they were where they were supposed to be and doing the activities that we had all planned for them. And I'd like to call out those interns and make sure that their names are heard. Andrew Snyder, Zoe Sahan, Martha Hinojosa, Alicia Guana, Keely O'Brien, Anthony Lucero, Noah DePriest, Christian Dempsey, Caroline Bergen, John Brady, Mia Hart, and Jackson Gay. All of those interns were quite busy today. We're very proud of their assistance but today was more than just a special moment for those military kids. It was a special moment for one of our very own. This person is responsible for bringing Military Kids Day to the Commonwealth. I had the honor of presenting him with a citation today, but at this time, Mr. President, I'd like to act on Senate Resolution 103, and if you could have the clerk read it in its entirety.
Mr. Clerk, if you would please report Senate Resolution 103 and read it in its entirety.
Senate Resolution 103, a resolution recognizing and honoring the children of military families on Military Kids Day, February 19th, 2026. Whereas Military Kids Day is an annual recognition and celebration of the children of military families at the Capitol. This February 19th marks the 9th anniversary of the event since its inception by Senator Jimmy Higdon on February 24th, 2017. Whereas Senator Jimmy Higdon, a former chair of the Veterans Military Affairs and Public Protection Committee, was approached by Molly Mattingly of Bardstown, whose husband, Colonel Steve Mattingly, served in the 138th Field Artillery Unit of the Kentucky National Guard. She said it would be a good idea to honor military kids for the sacrifices they make. Senator Higdon took that suggestion to heart and created a day of recognition to honor children of military families at the Capitol as a way of highlighting the unique position children of military families have while navigating their day-to-day life. Whereas Military Kids Day is a day that brings together military families from across the Commonwealth for a day of educational activities. recognition, and engagement with state leaders. This event honors the children and grandchildren of those who serve and have served in the armed forces of the United States, offering them a unique opportunity to explore Kentucky's capital, connect with legislators, and learn about military and civic service. And whereas Donna Holliday, the clerk of the Senate, says, this program not only involves students, but engages their families, school districts, including Fort Knox schools, and have incorporated participation into their fourth grade curriculum as part of the students' study of Kentucky and its government. This program is having a huge positive impact, and that's a legacy worth celebrating. Whereas Senator Higdon puts his heart and soul into the event, which has grown from 20 to 40 attendees in 2017 to approximately 250 participants in 2025. Without his leadership, this program would not have grown to receive national recognition and serve as a model for improving civic engagement in other states. Whereas Major General Hal Lamberton, the Adjutant General of Kentucky, states, we are deeply grateful for Senator Higdon's leadership and commitment to military families. His vision has created a meaningful opportunity for children across Kentucky to connect, learn, and to be celebrated. Whereas, although 2026 marks the final year of service in the Senate for Senator Jimmy Higdon, and therefore his final year in leading this event, his legacy will live on for years to come in the hearts and minds of military kids across the Commonwealth. And now therefore be it resolved by the Senate of the General Assembly of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the Senate recognizes and honors the children of military families on this Military Kids Day, February 19th, 2026.
Senator from Hardin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to thank the many staff members that Senator Higdon, the senator from Marion. It's hard to not say his name after hearing it so often in the resolution. I want to thank the staff members that have worked closely with him over the years, Donna Holliday, Melissa Satterley, Jennifer Crane today, and many others for their organization. But above all, the senator from Marion has left us with a wonderful legacy, and this being his last, I would hope that you would join me in moving for adoption of Senate Resolution 103.
The matter before the body is adoption of the resolution. Any member seeking recognition on the resolution? Senator from Fayette 13.
Mr. President, I remember the rules that you said at the beginning of this session, but if there's no objections, I would ask that all members be shown as co-sponsors on this resolution.
Without objection, all members shall be shown as co-sponsors on the resolution. Any other member seeking recognition on the resolution? The senator from Marion to speak on the senator from Marion's resolution.
It is kind of odd to do that, but, you know, Military Kids Day is not about me, and I thank you all for the recognition. It was a ideal by a constituent of mine, and so I was just a guy that made the suggestion, and it started. But it started because a lot of people were involved, and like I said, it's not about me. It's about those kids. Today, we celebrate all kinds of days throughout the calendar to celebrate our military families and our servicemen and women, and they're so deserving of that because they when they take that oath of office, they never know if they're going to live to their 30th birthday or not. They don't know that because they're always in opportunity to be put in danger's way. And so these kids, today was about the kids. Like I said, we have these other holidays, Veterans Day. We celebrate the birthdays of all the armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. We celebrate all those. But today, we celebrate Military Kids Day. Today was a special day set aside for the young people in Kentucky, those military kids that truly make true sacrifices. I know the senator from Hardin and I both shared, were military kids. In fact, my dad, he was in the 100th Division and packed the family up back in 1963 and moved to Arkansas during the Berlin crisis. And it was, for a third grader, it was fairly traumatic to leave all your friends and family and go to a strange place like Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. But anyway, we survived it, and it made us a better people for it. But again, it's not about me. It's about these military kids and the sacrifices they make. And also, this thing would never happen without, Jennifer Crane, Donna Holliday, Corey Ann Jackson, the Kentucky National Guard, Kentucky Aviation Museum, Karen Lamberton, the General Lamberton's wife, who's a special person who's here every year to make sure that those kids get special attention. So I'm humbled by the recognition, but again, it's all about the kids. Military Kids Day, and today was their day, and Frankfort is really good about rolling out the red carpet, and I think today we can all pat ourselves on the back. We rolled out the red carpet for these kids. They ate a lot of pizza and did a scavenger hunt, and they had a large time. And it was our way of saying thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to say that word, and thank you for the recognition that I don't truly deserve. But I do want to say one thing. Way back, there was a year that things kind of didn't go right, and Military Kids Day was close to extinction. But Donna Holliday, Melissa Satterley, and Corey Ann Jackson snatched Military Kids Day from the jaws of defeat and brought it back to life, and I want to thank them for that, because without that action back years ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator from Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speak on the Military Kids Day.
Please proceed.
I have 6 military kids personally, after 22 and a half years of service. And this was really the first Military Kids Day that my kids got to come to. I was glad to have 2 of them here today. And, it really brought back some memories and some reflection on the times and how hard it really is for kids, and how it really affects them in the long term. Nothing's harder than hugging your kids and seeing the tears in their eyes before you leave to go somewhere, and you tell them, I'll be back, knowing full well you have no idea if you're going to survive this or not. And nothing's better than coming home and proving them right and living up to the promise. And I got to think about that today. It's been a little bit since I thought about those memories, and I was glad to have 2 of my kids, my 2 youngest sons, here today. I appreciate that. Thank you.
The matter before the body is adoption of the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. To the Senator from Marion, Senator from Hardin, and all the staff people that made this possible, we do thank you for your efforts and the recognition of these military kids. Seeing no one else seeking recognition, next order of business would be floor amendments. Mr. Clerk, any amendments that have been filed?
Yes, sir.
Please report.
Senate Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 122, Senator Storm. Senate Floor Amendment 1 to Senate Bill 129, Senator Nemes.
Does that conclude your report?
It does.
Do you have any new bills or resolutions?
I do.
Please report.
New bills, Senate Bill 213, an act relating to retail electric suppliers, Senator Wheeler. Senate Bill 214, an act relating to the Department of Agriculture and declaring an emergency, Senator Howell. Senate Bill 215, an act relating to school districts, Senator Tishner. Senate Bill 216, an act relating to elections, Senator Nemes.
Does that conclude your report?
It does.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next order of business is adjournment. Prior to that, the chair would recognize any member who may have business to bring before this body. Seeing none, Senator from Taylor, do you have a motion?
Mr. President, I do. I move that the Senate adjourn until 9 a.m. Friday, February 20th, year of our Lord, 2026.
Without objection, the Senate shall stand adjourned till the hour of 9 a.m. Friday, February 20th, year of our Lord, 2026.